Hey, today I'm going to do a little book walk with you through When Crowbar Came. This is by Jean Craighead George from a book called The Tarantula in My Purse. She wrote The Other Side of the Mountain, if you've ever read any of those stories. Those are books, actually. The genre of this is narrative nonfiction, so it's a story, but it's true. So it's not like a informational book, but it's giving you true information. So it's just a little different. She's going to explain to you how intelligent crows are, which may surprise you. So one day they're sitting at home and they had had other crows, but this teeny little crow came up and he was cold and hungry, and so they fed him, and they were hoping he would be more imprinted on them because they got him when he was very young. And they fed him, and he became part of their family. Now, he never did live in their house. Some of their other crows lived in their house, and some of the other animals they had, I can't imagine what their house was like. But anyhow, some of the other animals lived in their house. But Crowbar, he was just a little bit wild yet, and so he lived in the apple tree in the yard and came in and out when he wanted to. I guess they didn't have screens on their windows. So one of his first duties was to walk the children to the school bus stop. And so he would take them down. And then when Crowbar came back, he knew, Mrs. George knew that the kids had gotten safely on the bus. Some of the facts she gave were how crows communicate with each other. So you have to read that to see how that is. And you have a little bit of that in your video that you watched. They can also recognize death. It's kind of a funny story about some farmers who were trying to get the crows out of their corn, but every time they put up their guns, the crows recognize them. So they might or might not have dressed up like their wives, but you'll have to read that to really see that story. They also found that crows could talk, which I didn't know crows could talk, like a parrot. And so they kept trying to teach him to talk, and they couldn't get him to do it. Except Crowbar was smart enough to only talk when it was just for his own benefit. And so you'll have to read on these pages some of the things he did that were really pretty sneaky and really ornery, and he got his own way out of that. Then as you go to the next page, you will see that he was not a very good sandbox companion, and Twig gets really frustrated with him one day because he keeps taking all her toys. And so her mom suggests that she goes down the slide because Crow can't go down the slide. Well, Crowbar figured it out. So anyhow, then you'll read about what he was doing with the children's lunch money that he was collecting every day and where he put that money. That will surprise you. Is it a coincidence? I don't know. So anyhow, as the story passes, they have some people over. This is actually New York, not Crowbar in this part of the story. And Mrs. T. Van comes over and she gets really freaked out and decides to leave. She thinks they're eerie or uncanny, I guess she says. So at the end, a murder of crows come to try to get Crowbar to come with them, and you'll have to read the ending to figure out how that goes. So I hope you enjoy the story When Crowbar Came.